Welcome to video 2 on polynomials. We are going to discuss classification and standard form of polynomials in this video segment. Now, polynomials are classified two ways: by their degree, like we've been discussing, and number of terms. I forgot a little line there. I'll add that to yours before I post it to the website. So by degree and number of terms. So just using what we know about our degrees. With degree of 0, that is a constant. And an example could be 7. And if we have the degree of 1, that is a linear equation. And an example, 4x plus 1. Now, if I have a degree of 2, we should remember this from our last unit, that makes it a quadratic, and an example could be 7x squared. If we have a degree of 3, it's considered cubic, and an example could be 5x cubed, woo, that's not a very good cubed, minus 7x plus 2. If we have 4 as our degree, that is actually considered quartic. Just like there are 4 quarters in a dollar, it's quartic. It's a good way to remember that one. So x to the 4th plus 3x squared would be considered quartic. Now, 5. Does anybody out there know what we call when a set of multiple births, when we have 5 born at the same time, 5 babies born at the same time? They're quintuplets, so this is quintic. And an example could be negative 3x to the 5th plus 7x to the 4th plus 6x plus 1. So just using the degree, we can name them: constant, linear, quadratic, cubic, quartic, and quintic, going up. Now, the number of terms. We already discussed that when it has one term, it's a monomial. When we have 2 terms, that is a binomial. And we're back to 1 term on my example for my quadratic, so that would be a quadratic monomial. And here I have a cubic that has 3 terms, and just like a bicycle has 2 wheels, what do we call a bike with 3 wheels? Tricycle. So this is a trinomial. And here my x to the 4th plus 3x squared has 2 terms. I'm back to binomial. And lastly, I've got my quintic example, and I have 4 terms. When we get beyond 3 terms, we simply say polynomial. There's not a special name for equations that have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 terms. So knowing that, we would say we state the degree first, followed by the number of terms second when we are classifying polynomials. So 7x squared would be the quadratic monomial, is how we would state that. So degree first, followed by number of terms in the classification. And remember, you can use this chart on any test or quiz that we'll have that's going to ask you about classification of polynomials. So how do we write all of this in standard form? Our standard form for our quadratic, if we remember, was ax squared plus bx plus c equals y, or 0, depending on what we were doing. Notice what's going on with those exponents. I go from 2 to 1 to 0. So the term with the largest degree goes first. And it determines, obviously, the degree of the polynomial. And the order of the polynomial has to be, or is in standard form, when the terms are in descending order. So we list the highest first, highest degree first, has to be listed first. Then the following terms go in descending order. Let's look at example 3. I have two polynomials here that are both written in standard form, meaning my exponents, the degree of my exponents, descend from the left to the right. The highest is listed on the left and the smallest on the right. So if we look at my first example, sorry about that, I kicked the board, 4x to the fourth minus 3x cubed plus 2x squared plus x minus 2. Let's classify that. What degree is it? It is a fourth degree polynomial with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms. So what would we call that? Fourth degree. Fourth, if I remember, 4 quarters to the dollar, that is a quartic, and 5 terms, they don't have a special name. So that is a quartic polynomial. Looking at my next example, 4 plus 3 is 7, 6, 5, 3, 0 for the degrees. And we don't have a special name once we get beyond 5th degree. So this is a 7th degree. And because I have 5 terms, once again, it is a polynomial. Now, something else you need to remember, when it's written in standard form, the first term is called the leading term. And the coefficient of that term, of the leading term, is called the, no surprise here, leading coefficient. So looking at the examples up above, what are my leading terms in that first polynomial? Well, I've got 4x to the fourth is my leading term in my first polynomial, and the leading coefficient is a positive 4. Go ahead and tell me what the lead term and coefficient are of my second example, and jot that down and bring it with you when you come to class. That's the end of this video segment. We're going to move on to operations with addition and subtraction in the next segment. See you there.